Ladies and gents, in 1905, Crystal Palace Football Club in its current incarnation was formed right here at Crystal Palace Park. I've just filmed a video on the history of this as a football ground. This held 20 FA Cup finals, and off the back of the success of those FA Cup finals being here, Crystal Palace Football Club was formed. They wanted a club to play week in, week out here at Crystal Palace Park. World War I happened, and off the back of that, Crystal Palace Park was used for storage, for weapons and so on for the World War, and as a result, Crystal Palace Football Club would move to Selhurst Park. They've been there over 100 years, but I thought before we talk about Crystal Palace's current ground, Selhurst Park, the atmosphere and so on, I thought I'd give you a cheeky glimpse ahead of the video being released here of their original home and why they are indeed called Crystal Palace when they don't technically now play in Crystal Palace and haven't done so for around 100 years. This really is a piece of not only Crystal Palace history, but football history. Anyway, let's head over to Selhurst Park. Let's go. One of the things I love about German football so much is the ultras culture, something that's prevalent around Europe, but apparently England has no ultras culture. So ladies and gents, as I stand here at the top of Holmesdale Road, where in 4 hours time the stand which runs parallel to this road will be full of English ultras. They're known as the Holmesdale Fanatics, and they are the most well-known / biggest ultras group in English football. But how do they compare to those ultra groups around Europe? A lot of people disregard Premier League atmosphere, which is ironic because we're not watching a Premier League game today, we're watching a Carabao Cup game. It's a Tuesday night. But if we are to test the atmosphere of Premier League clubs, I feel like it would be obvious coming here today, or coming here on a day whereby Palace are playing, for example, Brighton, their biggest rival, in a Premier League game. A real way of testing the atmosphere would to be rock up on a Tuesday night against a club like Norwich. No offence, Norwich. We've got a great day planned. We're going to be meeting the lady who did the Crystal Palace tour. I don't know if you've seen that video. We did a tour here at the end of last year. Jane, we're going to be meeting Jane, learning a bit more, again, about the Palace fans, the atmosphere in the Holmesdale Fanatics. But ladies and gents, as I stand here sweating in a wife-beater vest, let's make my way down Holmesdale Road before, ironically, I get beaten up for wearing such vest. Ladies and gents, hit that like button, subscribe, this is going to be a good one. Let's go. So there's been a number of videos on YouTube and articles online branding various English football grounds as the worst. Unfortunately, Selhurst Park is one of those grounds which has popped up. But do not fear, Rye is here to see if there's any truth in those claims. Over the next week, I'm going to give you an honest look at Kenilworth Road, the home, of course, to Luton Town, the Priestfield Stadium in Gillingham, and surprisingly, the 2012 Olympics ground, known to you as the London Stadium, has made that list. And of course, today, we're going to look at Selhurst Park. So what makes a football ground for you? Is it that modern, swanky facility like a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, or is it that quirky, old-school British charm? For me, the fans make the ground. Unfortunately though, the Holmesdale Fanatics decided not to attend this fixture, this Tuesday night fixture at Selhurst Park in the Carabao Cup versus Norwich, so we don't get to experience some of that Palace ultras culture. However, I do have an incredible replacement. We're going to be speaking to a legend of the club, someone who made 660 appearances for Crystal Palace. He captained the club for around a decade, we're going to hear from him about how the atmosphere's changed since his playing days, whether it's better or worse, and his thoughts on that ultras culture that is normally at Selhurst Park. But before we speak to the legend of Jim Cannon, let's speak to some Palace fans. Right, I'm with a couple of Palace fans. Guys, firstly, how would you rate the Selhurst Park atmosphere out of 10? Do you think the Holmesdale Fanatics have added to improve the atmosphere?
I reckon it's 8 out of 10 on a game day.
Yep.
I think there's definitely some people who say that the Holmesdale Fanatics are trying too hard to be European fans, but at the end of the day, there's no one else like Holmesdale Fanatics in the Prem. No one else does it.
You're not going to find
us.
ultras.
You don't see
anywhere
ultras
else, really.
or the tifos that we do on start of the season, end of the season.
Well, they seem to be the life and soul of the Palace anyway.
Yeah.
They have the drum playing. They bring the fans up.
Yeah.
Like if the game's going sour. So they're the life and soul of the Palace, basically.
Yeah. Do you think more Premier League clubs will adopt the ultras culture? I know Ipswich Town have kind of started to give it a go. Do you think people have seen what you do and think, yeah, we're going to start doing that? I know Arsenal kind of brought the flags into...
I think some people have tried, but failed miserably. I couldn't see many people. I think a lot of people think it's just too much for English fans.
It's not very English.
No, it's not, is it?
Throwing flares
It's very European atmosphere, but we try and bring that to here, and it does work for us. And you don't want to be anywhere else in that stadium apart from in the Holmesdale end.
We have the cheerleaders at half time.
Yeah. Right, so we just finished up and the lads just mentioned that Palace not only have ultras, but they also have cheerleaders. It's a bit of a throwback to the early Premier League years. Tell me a little bit about the Palace cheerleaders, mate.
Well, I think we're the only team with cheerleaders in the Premier League, at least.
There's not many others. It's like every half time they come out.
Yeah, they come out, they do their dance. I think they'll be doing it today as well.
What are they called?
The
Palace
Crystals.
Crystals.
Are they sexy?
Yeah, go on then. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah. So we have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Crystal Palace royalty. Jane, you might recognise her from the tour video we did last year. Now Jane, I've been asking people about the Holmesdale Fanatics and Selhurst Park in general, the atmosphere and so on. You've been talking to me a little bit off camera. Can I grab you for a few words with regards to...
100%,
Yeah?
we're delighted to.
Brilliant. So in terms of the Fanatics, how do they add to the matchday atmosphere?
They create it, they get it going, they start the songs going, they've got their drum, they've got everything, and they're in a perfect position for that to resonate around the rest of the stadium.
So just as a reminder, they are based in Block E, which is directly behind the goal over opposite us over there. Do you think it's probably one of the best Premier League atmospheres?
I'd like to say it is the best.
Yeah.
We're renowned for it here.
Yeah.
We make a lot of noise. We have terrific songs for all of our players, and that's what gets it all going really.
Yeah.
And we know that that's important to the players.
Yeah.
Really, really important. Without that, it's damp. And which just doesn't happen here really, so yeah.
You mentioned a TIFO display in the near future?
Yes, coming up I think at the next home game after this one, it'll be one to celebrate our centenary at this stadium. So 1924 we moved here, and in fact it was last Friday was our centenary date. Yes it was, so not many grounds like this at this level of football.
Absolutely.
Really. Yeah.
We often say about maybe the atmospheres in modern football stadiums being somewhat spoilt when, for example, when like Arsenal moved away from Highbury. With the development going on, you'll have the perfect balance between old and new. Because as a reminder, which side are we looking? That side.
That's going to be the new stand.
It's going to be completely redeveloped. How would you rate the Palace atmosphere out of 10?
10.
Skirts and all that. They were
Hold that.
They were called the Palace Goalies.
Ladies and gents, we have the absolute honour of being joined by a Palace legend. This man needs no introduction. We've just been talking about the atmosphere at Selhurst Park. We've also been talking about the cheerleaders as well. But I just want to ask you why the Crystal Palace atmosphere is different than other Premier League clubs you might go to.
Well, I think it's an organised sect now, isn't it? All these like the ultras, and they've transformed the atmosphere in the sense they've moved from where they were down the corner of the Holmesdale up more to the middle,
And the goal,
and in that area generates a lot of noise. But in general, like if you talk to any player that comes to Crystal Palace, they're all saying the same. The atmosphere is brilliant because the whole crowd get behind it, as opposed to just sections. So it's probably quite an intimidating, and it's a smaller stadium than probably a lot of the bigger ones. So,
Jim, how does it differ from your days in terms of the atmosphere? You mentioned that you could kind of hear maybe individual voices a little bit more, whereas now it's more choreographed and so on. How do you feel like it's different compared to back in the day?
Well, when I started off, there was 40-odd thousand people watching games, and when you look at the stadium now, you think, how did that ever happen?
Yeah.
So it was just a loud vocal noise. But then as the years went on, I played in front of 6,000-7,000 people out there, and you can hear every comment.
Yeah.
And some of it's really funny.
Yeah.
You know, but some of it, if you're not playing that well, it can be quite horrible for that particular player.
Yeah.
So I prefer this 26,000. It's a nicer atmosphere, and our fans have never singled out a player to the point where that player's lost total confidence.
Yeah.
Whereas I've played in that environment where players got slaughtered. So I think it's nice now that this lot stick together. That they'll let you know if they're not happy, but in general, it's just there and then during that game, and then they carry on after that.
Brilliant. I really appreciate your time. Ladies and gents, as a reminder, I'm chatting to the legendary Jim Cannon. And how many appearances did you make?
660.
660. And just to clear up the Wikipedia fact, you only played for Bristol City once.
I went down just as it was almost like a trial. Jerry Francis asked me to come down, have a little look round, but I never played in a competitive game.
No.
So you can take that out of Wikipedia.
Somebody sort the Wikipedia out. Thanks very much. Thank you, Jim. Ladies and gents, a little bit of a different vibe to what I was going for. We want to see the hardcore. We're on our way to the Holmesdale end. But there we go, a little glimpse of the hospitality and a legendary Palace player with his thoughts on that incredible atmosphere. Well, let's just see it for ourselves, shall we? Let's go. Right, guys, when it comes to rating stadiums, of course, the beer is very important. I'm not even sure the brand of this beer, but taste test, tastes good. It's good enough for me anyway. Going in the right direction, straight down.
Look, D, there's the sign. You got your road numbers are on the sign.
Of course they are. Brilliant. Thank you. So here we are then, guys, as I said in the intro, and the only way to test whether a club has a good atmosphere, whether a stadium has a good atmosphere, is to come on what on paper looks like a fairly dull game. It's not dull by any means. I like the Carabao Cup, and that's no disrespect to Norwich. I've got a lot of respect for Norwich. But today, we'll really show the people what the atmosphere is like at Crystal Palace. I think it's going to be a good one.
Be careful. Right up, Southampton, the famous Palace boys.
So what do we learn from today's episode? Well, we've learned that the Holmesdale Fanatics have Tuesdays off. No Fanatics in E Block today, but the atmosphere was good. That's one thing that is different from English and German atmosphere. We're very reactive, aren't we? Quite a sombre first half. Obviously Palace haven't had the results lately they'd have liked, but with a 4-0 scoreline, the Holmesdale Road End came to life in the second half. So to compare, ULTRAS wasn't possible today, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. We've met a Crystal Palace legend, we've experienced what it's like up there in the posh seats, and we've experienced what it's like in this end of Selhurst Park. Thank you. Thank you very much. Subscribe, like the video if you like the video, and check out some of the videos on screen right now, and I'll see you in one of those videos.